What's up, everyone? This is DeagleBeagle. We're going to go over the most overrated moves of VGC 2023 Series 2, but a lot of these overlap from Series 1. So, especially in Series 2, close combat is really overrated because with all the Paradox Pokemon, a lot of them take max damage from low kick, Roaring Moon, for example, and other ones. So, and even Iron Hands. So, I usually prefer low kick over close combat now. But close combat does more have consist. It does have more consistent offensive damage, but the double stat drops I'm not a big fan of, especially when low kick does about the same damage pretty much almost every time. Unless it's versus things you probably wouldn't want to hit with a fighting move anyways, like mouse hold, because it could just tear a ghost. So that's that. And steel moves besides heavy slam unless low weight. So heavy slam is usually a superior move to iron head or some other steel move if you have high weight. But if you don't have high weight, then it's maybe not that good. You got to check its weight and compare it to all the common Pokemon and see if it's worth it or not. Now, steel, no, twin beam, it's usually outclassed by Psychic or Psyshock because it only has 80 power. Yeah, it hits twice, but hitting twice doesn't mean anything if necessarily because there's no Sash Pokemon that I know of that dies from a twin beam, and I think only Farig Giraffe learns it. Let me see. Yeah, see, it's you. Yeah, so twin beam is not that good. Just less power than Psychic and Psyshock usually, and Psychic is a little bit overrated in the sense that it doesn't offer offensive coverage versus Pokemon that have high special defense but much lower defense. But Psyshock is worse in a lot of instances too, but then you can choose to use another move instead of Psyshock, so it's nice to have that offensive versatility. So Psyshock is somewhat underrated, Psychic a little bit overrated overall. But I do like Psychic. I just think a lot of things you would hit with it in Series 2 especially would be like Iron Hands and whatnot, which usually runs Assault Vest. So if it does run Assault Vest, then Psyshock is better. But if it doesn't run Assault Vest, then Psychic's better. Okay, Phantom Force, all these moves that take, um, and other moves that take 2 turns to work, unless you use it with Leech Seed or something to stall. So Phantom Force is not used with Leech Seed to stall, so I wouldn't use it with like Dragapult or whatever. It's just bad usually because it takes 2 turns and they can just protect. Or actually, no, they can't protect from it on the second turn. I guess it's not terrible, but like they could just switch in a normal type or something, or not protect knowing you're gonna hit them anyways. Okay, Fire Punch, Dragonite, that is decent for coverage, and it does hit Goldango and other stuff, but it's vulnerable to rain, reducing its power, flash fire, other things. For coverage, I would normally use like low kick or something instead of that, or stomping tantrum, same power normally versus all those things, almost all those things. So unless you're trying to hit like scissor or something, it's probably not going to be worth it. Hyper Voice on Indeedee and Frigg. Now it's not a bad move, but is it overrated? I'd say a little bit because typically with those Pokemon, I prefer that they're as bulky as possible with like Psychic Seed or Indeedee or some sort of move to help it set up Trick Room easier or support its ally better. So Frigg, I feel like should be using Citrus probably or something to help keep it alive, like Colbur or something, and not throat spray. So that's the main deal with that. And Hyper Voice doesn't super affect anything. It just raises your special attack with throat spray. But you need a whole item for that, so I don't think it's quite worth it. It's worth it with Sylveon, but not probably in DD or Frigg. Imprison with Mons not immune to Fake Out. Now, I've seen Imprison Gallade and stuff, and unfortunately, Jamie Boyd, I believe, not really that not really disrespect to him, but I strongly disagree when people recommend stuff that doesn't seem to make sense to me. Like, why would you use Imprison Trick Room with a mon that can be fake outed when there's so many other Pokemon that are great that can't be fake outed and can imprison Trick Room? Like, they're obviously fake out's going to be really common with Trick Room to set it up. Like, Iron Hands could just fake out the Glade and then you can't imprison, and then it's totally useless. So you should be using like Inner Focus or Psychic Terrain or a Ghost type Pokemon, or at least Terra Ghost with your Imprison user. I guess you can use it with Glade if you use Terra Ghost, but then do you really want to have to waste a Terra just to do that when you could have used another Pokemon and not have to use a Terra? Like, let's just think about this. Clear Smog. It used to be good before people adapted to it, but even I, like, as soon as the format started, I saw Clear Smog. Right away, I started using Steel Dondozo. So, like, it's good versus a few months, but no one even really uses it that much anymore. That's good because we saw, like, almost none of it at San Diego. So I suppose that's eventually why Cheppa didn't even use it anymore. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it worked out fine for him because he knows he should kill Amoonguss anyways with Arcanine, but Clear Smog is still a threat, but it's not a reliable way to counter anything. If you want to reset their stats, use Haze or something. Perish Song with fragile mons like Gengar. Now, I don't understand why people use Perish Song with Gengar. Not only is it fast, but it's super fragile. I know it has a sash, but a lot of people even use Perish Song without Protect on it, and it's just like, why? Like, use Perish Song with something like Azumarill or Screamtail or something that's bulky instead. So, anyways, and something that's slower so you can win in the end game with it. Thunderbolt Goldango is overrated too because it has similar coverage to Power Gem, but Power Gem just has way better coverage because it covers the rock or the rock weak Pokemon like that are resistant to steel, like Arcanine, like fire types, and also hits Pelipper that's weak to both rock and electric. So electric just doesn't hit that many Pokemon for super effective damage. That Power Gem doesn't one shot anyways. So I normally just use Power Gem. And then Iron Head with King Ambit is slightly overrated. It is a stab move and it does hit a lot of things decently. It's actually not that overrated anymore considering how common Fluttermane is. Even though you could just kowtow cleave it and probably kill it. But it's not a bad move, so it's just very slightly overrated. I feel like I don't even need it with my King Ambit normally. I wasn't using it unless I would use like Terra Steel because there's not a lot of tar like Rock anymore, and I really needed Iron Head for that. Yeah, Iron Head for that. But once people stopped using that, I didn't really need that anymore. Could be pretty good though on a rain team, possibly. Well, maybe not. You might just use your rain to keep it alive. Also, Axe Kick. For some reason, I and other people are testing that out because it was a new move with Metacam, and we assumed it was like better than low kick or close combat, and we were just stupid and forgot. No, it's just like objectively worse. Like Axe Kick. Um, Axe Kick is just worse than close combat because it can miss and you lose 50% of your damage if they protect or it misses. Not just if it misses, if they protect. So that's just stupid. Can confuse at least. But like if you're using Metacam, you probably want Sash on it. Low kick or close combat is just better. And then Foul Play. This was really good in Series 1. maybe not really good, but good. But in Series 2, there's so many Pokemon that either resist dark or their physical Pokemon, yeah, that resist dark or their specials. So it's like not as good anymore. Significantly worse. It doesn't seem when I use Murkrow, it seemed like it rarely would do a lot of damage because there's like Great Tusk or Iron Hands or whatever, and they resist that or have high defense or whatever to balance out their high attack. And then Hydro Pump, it misses a lot, so you might want to use a more accurate move with Iron Bundle, but sometimes not. You might want to just risk the Hydro Pump, but it just doesn't. It means that that Pokemon's likely not tier if it needs Hydro Pump to be good, like Rotom, W, Iron Bundle. It's good, but it's not going to be top tier if it has a really low power water move, probably because I mean a low power accurate water move. Anyways, Acrobatics Roaring Moon is did I say it's overrated? Yeah. It's overrated in the sense that you could be using Scale Shot with it and other moves. It is good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just very slightly overrated because Scale Shock, I think a Scale Shot with loaded dice I think is the better play. You raise your speed and it does decent damage, but acrobatics is fine too. It's just really predictable and stuff. And yeah, and flying's not necessarily a great defensive typing for what kills you a little bit against fighting moves and stuff, but it doesn't resist fairy like fire does, and I don't know about it. I guess you could use acrobatics without terra flying, but then it's not that good. Quick Attack Sylveon, slightly overrated because I think usually it's not the best fourth move, but if you really need a priority move, it could be useful. Sashes and finishing them off. And then, I mean, you normally could use like something else with it, like Yawn or Calm Mind or something, so it's a preference. It's not necessarily bad, it's just usually overrated because I saw how used it was. I'm like, it shouldn't be used, I don't think, that much, but maybe. Soak is overrated because it doesn't work on mons that Terran. Assurance cannot hit for 120 power consistently, but maybe it hits that power enough with certain combos like Tyranitar, Lycan Rock, or something. But generally, there's a lot of times where you have to just attack with that Pokemon and switch the other out, or attack their other Pokemon. So you shouldn't bank on always doubling your power with assurance. If you're fine with that, like sometimes you do 60 and sometimes you do 20, so maybe it balances out. But I think for consistency, you would want to use crunch, even though it seems like you're missing out on more power because you may not need more power sometimes, and then other times you may need that extra power. So it's not as consistent, but it could be better than crunch though. It just depends on the team, I think, and other things. So thanks for watching.